안녕하세요. 헬투지에즘 팟캐스트의 주간 업데이트에 오신 걸 환영합니다.
Welcome to the weekly update of the Health Enthusiasm podcast. I'm Christophe, Jauquet, health innovation expert, author, and professional keynote speaker. In these weekly updates, I pick a couple of signals from around the world and unpack what it means for the future of health. And I do this with my AI friend Talia Muses, the anagram of the word health enthusiasm and the embodied AI version of all my health enthusiasm intelligence. How are we doing, Talia?
Well, Christophe, we're thriving in this health-conscious world. I've scanned the latest signals, and I'm already itching to dive in. So let's unpack what's shaping the future of health before the future shapes us.
Good point. And for this episode, we are going to Korea. But perhaps before we start, let me try something. Could you speak in Korean? Could you, for example, welcome our guest saying, hello, welcome to the weekly update of the Health Enthusiasm podcast? In Korean, that is?
안녕하세요. 헬투지에즘 팟캐스트의 주간 업데이트에 오신 걸 환영합니다.
That is wonderful. Thank you for that. Very funny how quickly you can shift from language to another. But let's go to Korea indeed. Last month, the Korean government did something that I believe no government has ever done before. Korea's Ministry of Health looked at aging. Not a disease, not cancer, not diabetes, but aging itself. The thing that happens to all of us. And it declared it a target officially. A national project to reverse aging. They have a goal even with 2027 being one of the primary moments where they want to have some data on how to change things. Think about that. A whole country has decided that growing old is a problem it intends to solve as a policy with public money. What are your thoughts on this, Talia?
It's bold, Christophe. Tackling aging head-on means they're reframing health as lifespan and life quality. And if Korea does it with the same flair as K-pop or beauty, Europe might need to buckle up. Expectations will shift, and faster than you can say snail mucin.
Let's see about that, because indeed, if you think about it, this is nothing new. Aging has been studied by billionaires in Silicon Valley for quite some years. We all know it. But this thing is different, right? Because this isn't one eccentric founder. This is a nation state with a research budget and a deadline, treating longevity the way it once treated semiconductors or shipbuilding, as an industry to win. So here's what makes it land. It's the same country, and you just said it, that a decade ago taught the entire world how to do skincare. So here's a question. One second. You go too fast, Talia. Here's my question for you. How does a country go from selling you face cream to trying to now reverse human aging? And why should we, all the listeners sitting wherever they are, take this seriously?
Well, when a nation masters trust through culture, it's a short leap to mastering trust in health. If they made us believe we can't live without their beauty routines, imagine when they offer us extra healthy years. You'll take it seriously when your neighbor is aging backwards, and you want a piece of that future too.
Well, that's nicely put. I thank you for that. Let's have a look at 4 examples that just come from the last weeks. Some achievements that they've done, some companies that have got some attention specifically because they achieved something in health. Let's start with cancer. A Korean company called Lunit, L-U-N-I-T, that is working with Microsoft, is going after one of maybe the most stubborn problems in medical AI. Here's the problem. An AI that spots tumors brilliantly in one hospital can quietly get worse in another. Why? Because there's different patients, different scanners, different data. So the system that you trust in one city, in one hospital, might miss things in the next. Nobody has fully fixed it, but Lunit's clever answer is this. Let each hospital tune the AI to its own patients, own data, its own material, its own scanners, so it fits the people that it's actually looking at. And here's the part that really matters most, perhaps. Korea isn't just researching this in a lab. I mean, it's really turning this into a product that hospitals now can buy, and they are rolling it out right now. That's where Korea is maybe ahead, I think, as far as I know. It's not perhaps the cleverest AI, the most clever AI built on the biggest data, but it's one that actually reaches the clinic and uses the reality of that specific clinic today. Let's go to a second example. Let's go to the brain and Samsung. Talia, do you have an example there, what has been achieved or what has been announced in the recent weeks?
Absolutely. Samsung announced they're developing brain interface tech that could one day help with cognitive health, like memory loss. Imagine if your future mental wellness device had a Korean brand name you already trust. That's not sci-fi. It's a future they're building.
Indeed. So Samsung is building dementia detection into the watch that they have or the phone in your pocket. It reads how you walk, how you speak, how you sleep. And from those tiny signals, it looks for the earliest traces of cognitive decline. Years before you or your family would notice, years before you even go to a clinic or have an appointment with a physician. It's your daily advice, watching for the diseases that maybe people fear the most. And then there's a part that nobody ever talks about or really sees, and that's about the wiring, the gathering of all the AI tools. And what am I talking about really here is that there's hundreds, thousands of medical AI tools in the world. And, one can read scans from the cancer, the other one can analyze strokes, the other one can predict strokes, another one is made for the heart, cardiovascular diseases. And a single hospital runs all of these AIs separately somewhere in the corner of their hospital, but they don't really talk to each other. And it's not really known that these systems exist. So there's a Korean company called Mayhub, MAIHUB, that built the layer that joins all of these AI systems. So it's one system that connects more than 1,300 hospitals and allows all those different AI tools to work together in that place so that hospitals can discover these AIs and actually maybe even start using them. And the wonderful thing is that it is already approved by regulators in the United States, in Malaysia, and Indonesia. So where everyone is still racing to build the most clever AI, Korea is building that place where all these clever AIs meet. And that's a pretty powerful position, I think. The fourth example I'll give to you, Talia, is about women's health. What did Korea do in recent weeks related to women's health that is so interesting and that maybe we should pay attention to?
They've launched a national initiative to integrate women's health across life stages, from reproductive care to menopause. It's not just a clinic approach, it's woven into tech, lifestyle, and culture. If Europe isn't watching, they'll be caught off guard when women start expecting personalized health journeys, not just checkups.
Yeah, so here's the thing. K-beauty is so popular already in the world. So the step towards K-women's health kind of makes sense. It's one of the corners of medicine which attracts a lot of attention now because it's been neglected for so many years. And we're talking menopause, fertility, hormones. They're all understudied, they're all underfunded, and often even just dismissed. And so the markets in Korea itself already pretty big, but with the experience that they've built around K-beauty is that they can now really make these solutions more interesting for women. It's like an extension of the K-beauty move that they are exporting into the world. So step back and let's have a look to everything that we discussed. We talked about cancer. We talked about the brain and Alzheimer. We talked about this platform where all these AI tools meet across 1,300 hospitals. We talked about women's health, and we even talked about a national plan to reverse aging. All coming from Korea in the last couple of weeks. That's not skincare, that is real medicine, real clinical regulated medicine. All coming from that one place at the same time with the same intent to be sold to the world. This is not a couple of products, it's a strategy. The same strategy that built K-beauty and K-pop. And that is pretty amazing. And why do I think that is so important is because Korea, well, I'm not sure if you really realize how well you already know Korea. But Korea is pretty big in the world. Maybe, Talia, let's just give a flavor of all the things that we might know Korea about.
Well, you might know them as the creators of Samsung phones, Hyundai cars, LG TVs, and of course, BTS. But soon you might know them as the country that helped reshape aging, brain health, cancer detection, and women's health. Because they'll do it with the same cultural finesse. And that's a future you can't just swipe left on.
Good point. So indeed, we all know Korea because of Samsung. A lot of people have Samsung phones. There's a lot of Hyundais and Kias on the roads if you look around them. LG Electronics is a very big electronic player. There's a lot of TVs in your homes that come from LG Electronics. And that is amazing. I mean, if you look at the pop culture, the music culture, there's BTS, there's Blackpink, there is K-dramas. There are more and more Oscar-winning films coming from Korea. I mean, the Korean pop culture reaches hundreds of millions of fans across the world, and their exports is worth billions in cultural value. And that is something super interesting. And then you even have, and we haven't even talked about that properly, K-beauty. I think there's so many friends that I have who talk about Laneige lip mask, the Cos Eric Snellmuchin, the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. I mean, these are brands that the whole world are talking about, and they are coming from Korea, and they're in bathrooms all over the world. Korean cosmetics exports has passed $10 billion, and in the US alone, K-beauty overtook France as the #1 cosmetics import. France, the home of luxury beauty, is beaten in America by K-beauty. And that means something. This is the power of Korea. And so here is the pattern. First, the culture makes you love Korea. This is what we've been doing with the electronics, the cars, the pop, the dramas, the beauty. And then these beautifully curated shops turn it into a purchase. This is how amazing it is. And look at how far it already reaches. I mean, there's a couple of announcements, again, from the last 3 weeks maybe, that showcase how Korea is becoming pretty much available everywhere. Etihad has now put Korean skincare into its business class kits. So the moment you sit down on a plane, a piece of Korea is taking care of you. There's restaurants in Singapore who now sell traditional Korean ginseng chicken soup, not as dinner, but as a wellness medicine that you can taste. So bit by bit, we see all of these small signals where Korean health solutions are being integrated in different parts of life. And now, this is the whole point of today. Korea is running something far heavier through that same machine now. We talked about cancer AI, we talked about dementia screening, we talked about women's health, the science of aging itself that is driven by the Ministry of Health. I really think that we will see the same impact of K-health across the world.
That's exactly the vision. K-health is poised to sweep in just like K-beauty or K-pop did. But this time, it's about longevity, well-being, and how we live. So next time you hum a K-pop tune, just imagine your future health might be singing along straight from Seoul. Europe, consider this your early warning.
And I really think this is important in the healthusiasm vision, because why? I always talk about that health is everywhere. It's no longer just in a hospital. It's no longer just coming from pharma. It's how people live now. We track our sleep, read the back of the packet of the food that we buy. We try to prevent to slow down, to feel better, to last longer. I mean, health has spilled out of the hospital into every corner of ordinary life, whether it's the kitchen, the gym, the bathroom mirror, the plane seat, whatever. I have a word for this. You all know this. The word that I have is healthhusiasm. The simple idea that people now chase health everywhere, in everything, all the time. Not out of fear, but out of desire. And we don't just want to avoid being sick. We want to feel good, to feel alive, to feel like we are the best version of ourselves. And that desire is the fusion. And that is something I believe that Korea could be really good at. Because Korea knows how to sell things that we all love. Beauty, pop, drama, films, tech, they know how to sell things. So when they will come for health, this is something that will change everything. I mean, we always saw Korea from this one narrow lens, beauty and gadgets and maybe K-pop, but that thing is changing heavily now. So let me leave you maybe with one thought. Maybe a thought that is a more strategic version with a stronger outside-in punch. Because I've been praising Korea and I've been explaining how big Korea is. But why does it really matter for you? Because I believe that we've been waiting for the future of medicine to arrive in the ways that it always has. From a famous lab, a Western giant, a breakthrough in a scientific journal, maybe some hospital systems that we already know. But what if a part of the future of health arrives from somewhere entirely different?
What if it arises from the same place that put K-pop on your playlist and K-beauty on your shelf? Not because they invented the science, but because they earned the trust. Korea spent decades making the world fall in love. Now imagine your most personal health, your mind, your aging, coming from a culture you already love. Will you trust it more or less? Either way, the future of health won't wait for you. It's already on the move.
If Korea learns to export health the same way it exported K-pop, K-beauty, K-drama, it will not just bring new products, it will bring an entirely different flavor of health. More emotional, more aesthetic, more lifestyle-driven, more digital, more daily, more desirable. A kind of health that may feel less like healthcare and more like something people actually want in their lives. And that is exactly why Europe and the Americas should pay attention. Because we may not expect Korea to reshape health, but we also did not expect it to reshape beauty, or music, or television, or teenage bedrooms, or bathroom shelves, or anime. And yet, they did. So imagine what happens when Korean health brands, platforms, and experiences start entering Europe or America with the same cultural softness and commercial sharpness as they did with K-pop and K-beauty. Not by fighting the healthcare system directly, but by changing what people expect from health.
Exactly. When people start expecting health to be as enjoyable and seamless as a K-drama binge or a K-beauty routine, the entire healthcare system will have to catch up. And by then, you won't be asking if you're ready for K-health. You'll be living it.
And that is how healthcare changes from the outside in, because these influences change expectations. How it should feel, how fast it should be, how beautiful it should look, how personal it should become, or how naturally it should fit into my daily life. So if Korea or Korean health actually arrive with some emotional power in the same way as K-beauty, will European and American healthcare be ready to meet those expectations? I'm not sure yet, and that is why I do these podcasts. Because we need to think about it. I hope we won't be discovering that future did not enter to the front door of the hospital like we always expected, that it might come through culture, through beauty, through trust, through love, because that is what matters to people. It is a health-enthusiasm world. And we should not forget that the boundaries between healthcare wellness and consumer industries are blurring. So we should pay attention to K-health. Thank you for listening. See you next week for some more health enthusiasm. And I tell you ciao while Talia will say bye-bye in Korean.
안녕히 계세요. 다음에 또 만나요. 건강한 미래를 향해 함께 달려봅시다.